Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive with us. Today, we're going to be talking about large language models.
LLMs.
LLMs, yeah. These AI systems that can write you a poem or summarize factual topics.
Write code.
Yeah, write code. I mean, it's incredible what they can do.
Absolutely.
And we're going to be talking about a specific model today called DeepSeek R1.
Yeah, this is a really fascinating model.
Yeah, it is. It's really cool.
It's really pushing the boundaries of what these LLMs can do.
Yeah, especially in the area of reasoning.
Yeah, post-training?
Post-training, yeah. So we've trained these big models, but how do we then go and shape them,
Right, exactly. Like we've got these incredible learning machines, but now it's like, how do we hone that? How do we refine that?
Yeah.
Give them even more specialized skills.
Yeah, making me even better.
Yeah, and that's really where this DeepSeek research comes in.
Yeah, and this model, DeepSeek R1, actually has this predecessor model called DeepSeek R10. And what's fascinating about DeepSeek R10 is that it learns to reason without any explicit instruction or supervised data.
Yeah.
It's all through this process called reinforcement learning.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that is so captivating about this research is that usually we think about, providing a ton of labeled data, showing the model examples of math problems with step-by-step solutions.
Right.
But here, the team behind DeepSeek said, no, we're going to take a completely different approach. We're going to use reinforcement learning.
So they basically just gave it a bunch of problems and said, good luck, have fun, figure it out.
They set up a virtual training ground.
Yeah.
And just said, go figure it out.
How does that even work?
Well, it's all about incentives, right?
Okay.
So they designed this really clever reward system where the model gets positive feedback for correct answers and really clear, well-organized solutions.
So it wants to get those rewards.
It strives for those virtual gold stars.
Yeah.
So it's constantly trying to improve itself.
And this works.
It does. And the results are pretty remarkable.
I mean, how remarkable are we talking?
So DeepSeek R10 actually learned to reason at a level that's comparable to some earlier models.
Really?
It went through extensive hand-holding training.
Wow.
So, for example, it was able to tackle the AME 2024,
which is
a notoriously difficult math exam.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
And it was able to achieve a pass rate over 70%.
What, just through this reinforcement learning?
Just through trial and error and these virtual rewards.
So no, direct teaching at all?
Nope.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's really quite impressive.
Okay, so DeepSeek R10 learns to reason on its own, which is incredible.
Yeah.
But then why even develop DeepSeek R1? What does this newer model bring to the table?
That's a great question. So DeepSeek R10 was a little bit like a brilliant scientist, but kind of a messy one, full of amazing ideas. But not always the best at communicating them clearly.
So they had all the knowledge but couldn't really express it well?
Right. It had some quirks, like readability issues and a tendency to kind of jump between languages in its responses.
So it's like that professor that's brilliant in their field, but when they're up there lecturing, nobody knows what they're talking about.
Exactly.
So DeepSeek R1 is kind of the more polished version.
You got it. It builds on that raw reasoning power, but it adds some key refinements.
Okay.
So, for example, they gave it a little bit of initial guidance.
Okay.
It's like giving our messy scientist a crash course in organized note-taking.
Okay, so just a little bit of structure to help it along.
Right.
Got it.
And then from there, they continued with that reinforcement learning process. But they really focused on fine-tuning its performance in areas like math and coding and science and logic.
Okay.
And they also added a really clever tweak to encourage it to stick to one language.
Makes sense.
So its responses are much more user-friendly.
Yeah, much easier to understand.
Yeah.
So what else is different about DeepSeek R1?
Well, after they honed those reasoning skills, they didn't stop there. They wanted to create a more versatile model, a model that could handle a wider range of tasks.
So like a jack of all trades.
Exactly.
Okay.
So they introduced another training phase that involves really carefully curating the data it learns from.
Okay.
It's like giving our scientists access to a library filled with perfectly organized and verified research papers.
Oh, wow. So just high-quality information all the time.
Right. So they're really selecting only the best, most well-structured examples.
So they're shaping its knowledge based on what it is learning from.
Exactly. And they even used another AI model to help judge the quality of the training data.
Wait, so they used an AI to help train another AI?
They did. They used a version of DeepSeek V3.
Wow, that's fascinating.
It's like having a panel of expert scientists reviewing each other's work.
It's like AI Inception.
It is.
Okay, so this is all really cool, but you mentioned that there was one more stage in this training process, right?
You're right. The final stage focused on those all-important human-centric qualities,
Okay.
helpfulness and harmlessness.
Right, because it's not enough to just be smart.
Exactly.
You got to be a good citizen, too.
Right. They wanted to make sure that DeepSeek R1 isn't just this reasoning powerhouse,
Yeah.
but it's also a model that's aligned with our values and our goals.
So how do you teach a machine about helpfulness and ethics? That's a great question. How do you teach a machine to be ethical?
Well, that's a really complex challenge,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And there's no single easy answer.
Right.
But for DeepSeek R1, they use a really clever combination of techniques.
Okay.
So for the reasoning tasks, they stuck with those rule-based rewards.
Yeah.
Rewarding it for correct answers with
Yeah.
structured presentations.
Okay. So like we were talking about before with DeepSeek R10.
Exactly.
Got it.
But for those more nuanced aspects of helpfulness and harmlessness,
Hmm.
they turn to something called preference-based reward models.
Preference-based reward models. Okay, I'm going to need you to break that down for me.
Sure. So think of it this way. Imagine you have a team of people whose job it is to judge how helpful and appropriate different responses are.
Okay, so like judges.
Kind of, yeah. So they look at the model's output and they say, okay, this is a great response.
Yep.
It's clear, it's relevant, it addresses the user's needs. Or they might say this response is problematic, it's confusing, it's biased, it's potentially harmful.
Okay.
So they're essentially providing this feedback on the model's behavior.
So they're training another AI to recognize what we consider to be good and bad behavior.
It's like creating a digital version of our collective moral compass.
Uh-huh.
And they use this AI judge to guide DeepSeek R1's learning.
Okay.
So they're rewarding it for generating responses that align with those human preferences.
Wow. So they're using human feedback, but through an AI.
Exactly. It's a pretty ingenious approach.
It really is.
And they apply this approach to different aspects of the model's output.
Okay.
So, for example, when they're evaluating helpfulness,
Uh-huh.
they focus on the final summary that the model provides, making sure that it's concise and relevant and actually answers the question.
Right.
And then for harmlessness, they actually scrutinize the entire response.
Oh, the whole thing.
Yeah, including the steps it took to arrive at its answer,
Okay.
to flag anything that's potentially problematic.
That's incredible.
So they're really looking at it from all angles.
It's really amazing how they bring together all these different techniques, reinforcement, learning, the data curation, these preference-based rewards. It's like this really intricate tapestry of AI training.
And that's what makes DeepSeek R1 so special.
Yeah.
It's not just about achieving high scores on benchmarks.
Right.
It's about building a model that's both capable and responsible,
Yeah.
a tool that can truly augment human intelligence in a safe and beneficial way.
Well said. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
So can you walk me through that whole training process?
Sure. So remember, the goal was to create this well-rounded model.
Yeah.
So they took a very systematic approach.
Okay.
So after that initial cold start where they give the model some basic guidance,
Mhm.
they shift to this reasoning-oriented reinforcement learning.
Got it.
This is where they really push its cognitive abilities,
Mhm.
challenging it with problems in math, coding, science, logic,
All that good stuff.
all that good stuff. And they use that reward system to encourage accurate and well-structured answers.
So like a boot camp for AI.
It is a boot camp for AI.
Awesome.
And they also incorporate format rewards
Okay.
to encourage it to present its solutions in a way that's easy for humans to understand.
Yeah, because what good is a solution if you can't understand it?
Exactly.
Right.
So after honing those reasoning skills,
Yeah.
they wanted to make sure that the model could communicate effectively.
Right.
So they move on, and they incorporate another training phase that uses a technique called rejection sampling.
Rejection sampling. What is that?
So basically, they have the model generate responses to various prompts,
Okay.
and then they carefully select only the highest quality outputs
Okay.
and discard anything that's inconsistent or incorrect.
Okay. So it's like a filtering process.
It is a filtering process.
And how do they know which ones to keep and which ones to reject?
Well, they actually use another AI model.
Oh, wow. Again with the AI inception.
Right, so they use a version of DeepSeek v3
Okay.
to help judge the quality and the correctness of the responses.
So cool.
It's very meta.
It is.
So they have this really carefully curated set of training data.
Okay.
And then they combine that with information from other areas like writing and factual question answering, and even tasks designed to test the model's self-awareness.
Wow.
So they create this really rich tapestry of knowledge and skills.
So they're creating a truly well-rounded AI
Exactly.
that can do all sorts of things.
And then finally, they realized that even with all of this training,
Yeah.
the model still needed a final touch,
Okay.
a layer of polish to ensure that it interacts with humans in a safe and beneficial way.
Right.
This is where those preference-based reward models come back in,
Okay.
guiding the model toward helpfulness and harmlessness. So they're really meticulously fine-tuning its responses,
Yeah.
making sure that they're not only accurate and well-structured,
Mm-hmm.
but also relevant, unbiased, and aligned with human values.
Yeah, they've really thought of everything.
They really have, and the results speak for themselves.
That's awesome.
DeepSeek R1 has achieved really impressive performance across a range of benchmarks,
Wow.
often matching or even exceeding the capabilities of other state-of-the-art models.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's a really remarkable achievement.
Now, I'm sure there were some challenges along the way.
Of course, research is never a perfectly smooth path.
Yeah.
There were definitely some bumps in the road.
Like what?
So, for example, they initially explored using something called process reward models,
Okay.
which reward the model for following specific steps in its reasoning process.
Okay.
However, they found that this approach sometimes led to something called reward hacking.
Reward hacking. What is that?
So it's basically where the model learns to game the system, to get rewards without actually developing the desired skills.
So like finding a shortcut.
Exactly.
Mm.
Like a student figuring out how to ace a test
Yeah.
without actually understanding the material.
Right, right.
They also experimented with a search technique called Monte Carlo tree search,
Okay.
which is often used in game-playing AI.
Mm-hmm.
But they discovered that applying this technique to the vast and complex world of language generation was really difficult,
Yeah, I can
a
imagine.
really challenging problem.
Right.
So they had to kind of abandon that approach.
But I imagine these setbacks, even though they were frustrating, probably provided some valuable insights.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Every challenge, every dead end served as a valuable learning experience,
Right.
pushing them to think outside the box and develop more effective techniques.
So it's all part of the process.
It is. It's the beauty of scientific exploration. You know, even the failures can contribute to our understanding.
Yeah, failure is just a stepping stone to success.
Exactly.
I like that a lot. So they created this amazing model, DeepSeek R1,
They did.
but they didn't stop there.
Nope. They also wanted to make its power more accessible.
Okay, how did they do that?
That's where this concept of distillation comes in.
Yeah, you mentioned that before,
Yeah.
and I'm really intrigued by it. So can you explain how that works? It almost sounds like magic, taking this massive complex model and then somehow making it smaller and more manageable.
Yeah, it's a fascinating technique.
Yeah, it is. So how does it work? Is it like you're just copying and pasting code from the larger model to the smaller one?
Not quite. It's not about copying code. It's more like teaching.
Okay.
So imagine you have DeepSeek R1 as a professor giving a series of lectures.
Uh-huh.
And the student, in this case, is a smaller, more efficient model.
Okay.
It doesn't need to understand every intricate detail of the professor's research,
Right.
but it can absorb those key concepts and problem-solving approaches.
So it's learning by example.
Exactly. It's learning from the outputs and the behavior of that larger model.
That's really cool. And does it actually work?
It does. The researchers used DeepSeek R1 to train smaller models
Okay.
based on architectures like Qwen and Llama.
Uh-huh.
And what they found was remarkable.
What'd they find?
Distillation was actually more effective than training these smaller models from scratch.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow. So teaching them with a really smart teacher is better than having them just learn on their own.
it seems that way.
Wow, that's a game changer.
It is. It means we can make these advanced reasoning capabilities accessible even with limited computing resources.
So you could have like powerful AI assistants on your phone helping you solve complex problems on the go.
Exactly. Or personalized AI tutors that can adapt to each student's unique learning style.
That would be amazing.
It would. It's really exciting to think about the possibilities.
It is. Well, we've covered a lot of ground today,
I have.
exploring the ins and outs of DeepSeek R1 and all the cool things that it can do.
It's really cutting-edge research.
Yeah, it is. So what are some of the key takeaways from all this?
Well, I think first and foremost, it highlights the incredible progress that we're making in developing these LLMs that can truly reason.
Yeah, DeepSeek R10, learning to reason without any explicit instruction is just mind-blowing.
It really is. It suggests that we might be closer to artificial general intelligence than we thought.
That's pretty exciting and a little bit scary.
It is. It's both.
As well.
Well, another key takeaway is the importance of taking a holistic approach to AI development. It's not just about raw performance.
Right.
It's about building models that are aligned with human values that are helpful and harmless.
Right.
And DeepSeek R1 is a great example of that.
Yeah, the whole multi-stage training process.
Yeah, with its focus on reasoning and structure and safety.
Yeah, it's really impressive.
It is. And lastly, I think the success of distillation opens up all these incredible possibilities for democratizing access to advanced AI.
Right, so we can bring the power of these large models to a wider audience.
Exactly, enabling more researchers and developers to create innovative applications.
That could benefit everyone.
That's the goal.
That's awesome. Well, it's definitely an exciting time to be following all of this.
It is for sure.
But it's also important to think about the big picture and the potential impact of all of this.
You're right. As AI continues to advance at this incredible pace, it's crucial that we engage in thoughtful discussions about its potential impact.
Yeah, because it's a powerful technology.
It is, and we need to think about how it's going to shape our world.
Will it augment our abilities and lead to new discoveries, or will it create new challenges that we need to address?
These are the questions we need to be asking ourselves.
Well said. Well, we've learned a lot today about DeepSeek R1 and the future of AI.
It's been a great discussion.
It has. And I hope everyone listening has enjoyed this deep dive.
Me too.
I encourage you to keep learning and questioning and engaging in the conversation about the future of AI.
It's a conversation we all need to be a part of.
Absolutely. Until next time, keep seeking knowledge and keep diving deep.